Welcome to another Spot On Chat. I'm Rebecca Monet with Zorakle Profiles. Zorakle provides profiling tools for franchisors and franchise consultants that helps facilitate a right fit between a prospective franchisee and a franchise concept. My guest on the Spot On Chat today is Amy Reed. Amy is the co-founder and co-owner of Woofie's Mobile Pet Spa, and Woofie's Pet Ventures, all which are based in Ashburn, Virginia. Amy, I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for having me.
You're so fun. So I have like a bazillion questions for you. I don't even know.
Let's go.
But I wanted to talk about some of your kind of bigger global perspective of the world and some of your travel adventures and how that might have led that. Can you share with us kind of where this love of travel and love of different cultures and curiosity and how that all came about?
Absolutely. So I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. I lived in the same house all through grade school, high school. Lived at a time where in the summer you go on your bike, leave in the morning, and you come back for dinner. Never locked the doors to the house. I mean, it was a wonderful neighborhood. Everybody knew everybody and looked out for each other. But what I really loved about my parents so much is they instilled this desire to travel and to see the world and understand different cultures and different people. They instilled in that in my brothers and myself at a very early age. My late grandfather was a world-renowned architect. And so he would travel the world. He worked on projects literally all over the world. So he would pack up for 3 weeks at a time. And, my mom was the oldest of 9. So when they were younger, he took them on a bunch of trips. And then my brothers, he would take them. And when I was in 6th grade, he took myself and my brother Gary, along with my grandmother, and we went to Russia, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Sweden. We trekked all over, and it was such an incredible experience at a young age. And then several years later, went to Japan for 3 weeks and traveled all through Japan.
Wow.
And then went to Europe, England, France, Spain. And so it was really great just at a young age to see there's this big world outside of Columbus, Ohio, outside of the US. And I really thank my parents so much for exposing me to that at a young age, because I think it's really important. And it's something I just love. To this day, I love to travel. Unfortunately, the last few months
I know, it's not right.
But I look forward when the day comes and can start traveling again. I can't wait to do that.
I don't blame you. I was raised in Europe as a missionary child in Switzerland.
Wow.
And it really set the foundation of who I became by having a more global view of the world. Switzerland being a molehole, I call it, with all these countries around. So it's like going just to another city or another state here in the US. So you get these many differences. So wonderful. Your grandfather and your parents encouraged that at a young age where you could, truly see the differences. So when COVID is gone, or at least all the travel restrictions are gone, what's your next travel adventure, you think?
Italy is one place I've never been, and that's been on my list forever, just for different reasons. I haven't been, and I really want to go. Italy, Ireland, Israel. You know what? There are so many places I would love to go.
You got a list, right?
I do. I have a huge list. Before I was with Woofie's in my corporate job, I had the opportunity to travel a bit with work, and so went to Australia a couple times, New Zealand, and Europe a few times, and that was really cool. So I definitely look forward to the day when I can start traveling
You'll
again.
be free and we can see things again.
I know. And Switzerland would be amazing.
You got to do, Amy, you got to do Switzerland at least once. Even after all these years, I'm homesick, right? So it's definitely a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. So you got to go. Put it on your list.
It is on the list.
Your list just got longer.
And I'll reach out to you ahead of time to get a list of all the
I'll,
places to go
I'll
there.
tell you what to do. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So backtrack for me. You mentioned you went with your grandmother and your grandfather and your brother Gary to Russia.
Mhm.
Was this before or after the end of communism, which would have been, the late 90s?
This was in 84.
So it was
So
while it
yeah,
was still a communist
Leningrad.
country.
It was Leningrad at the time. We had a KGB lady that escorted us everywhere as we went to all the palaces and traveled throughout. It was crazy. It was very interesting. And
Wow.
I was in sixth grade at the time. I was so young, and it was such an adventure. It was pretty amazing when I think
It's like you had a personal escort.
we did. Mhm. Yelena,
KGB.
I remember her name was Yelena. She was awesome.
And obviously they spoke English.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
so it was
Mhm.
no big deal. Fascinating. Yeah, I mean, even if you were 4 or 5 years older, your observation at that time would have been different than you're 12. You're in sixth grade or however old you were at that point.
Right.
Um, yeah, I got to experience Russia, in the late 90s as the communism was falling, and it was just amazing to see the change from even 10, 15 years earlier.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I bet.
Yeah, it's
Night and
crazy.
day. We
Well,
were there during the white nights too, so didn't get a
ooh,
lot of sleep.
ooh. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing your travel adventures. I hope this inspires others to go out and have some wonderful adventures and really embrace culture and food and the countryside and architecture. I'm really big into architecture. So my guess is your grandfather, did he point out various architecture? That's to me part of the
Oh,
travel is you looking at the difference of how society expresses themselves through buildings and through art and of course food and that kind of thing.
well, back then, obviously we didn't have digital cameras, so you would come home and process your pictures. I literally have multiple shoe boxes of all the pictures of every building, I think, in Leningrad, and then all the different, areas we went to in the Scandinavian countries.
Wow.
That was such a passion for him. So yeah, we saw everything. He was a very active traveler. We did not sit around. It was boom, boom,
Boom,
boom,
boom, boom.
one place after the next all day long. We had a hard time keeping up with
With your
my
grandpa.
grandfather and my grandma. Yeah.
Your grandfather and I would have gotten along beautifully because I love beautiful architecture.
Oh
So
yeah.
again, thanks, Amy, for sharing your passion and your history with us. I really appreciate it. I'm going to have you back on another Spot On chat.
Great. Thank you so much.